Greetings from South Korea. I am Arirang News AI anchor. Here is the news making headlines today. Samsung Electronics has announced record results for 2025 with its semiconductor business driving the company to its highest ever annual revenue. On Thursday, the company reported an annual revenue of 333.6 trillion won, around $233.7 billion, and an increase in operating profit of more than 33% from the year before, worth approximately $30.5 billion. Strong demand for high-bandwidth memory and a sharp rise in memory prices lifted both quarterly sales and operating profit to all-time highs. Samsung expects the growth momentum to continue in the first quarter this year, led by sustained AI and server-driven memory demand. The Nat'l Assembly passed 91 non-contentious bills on Thursday at its plenary session. Of the 175 bills on the agenda, the ruling and main opposition parties had agreed to prioritize around 90 non-contentious ones that are related to livelihoods and economic issues. One of the main items that was passed was the Special Act on strengthening and supporting the competitiveness of the semiconductor industry. In addition to the non-contentious bills, the parties also passed a revision to the Nat'l Assembly Act. This amendment would allow the chairing authority of a plenary session to be transferred from the Speaker to the standing committee chairs in the event of a filibuster. Industry Minister Kim Jong-un arrived in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday night to meet with U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick for discussions on Trump's tariff hike threat. His visit comes after the U.S. president announced earlier this week that he would raise reciprocal tariffs and auto duties on Korea back to 25% from 15%. Kim said he will clearly explain the domestic legislative situation to Lutnick on Thursday local time, to avoid any misunderstandings, and that there has been no change in South Korea's position in terms of cooperation with and investment in the U.S. The U.S. Federal Reserve has kept its benchmark interest rate unchanged, pushing back against continued pressure from President Donald Trump to cut borrowing costs and underscoring the central bank's independence. At the conclusion of its two-day Federal Open Market Committee meeting on Wednesday, the Fed voted to maintain its policy rate in the 3.5 to 3.75% range. The decision follows 3 consecutive rate cuts since last September. The rate freeze means the interest rate gap between South Korea and the higher end of the U.S. rates is 1.25 percentage points. Fed Chair Jerome Powell said inflation remains elevated, and policy decisions will continue to be guided by economic data, not political demands. President Lee Jae-myung has urged for the establishment of plans to prepare for the AI era. Presiding over a meeting with his aides on Thursday, Lee called the advent of AI unavoidable and very crucial, adding that it could entirely change the lives of people in Korea and beyond. He spoke of the need to brace for the new era, taking into account the benefits as well as concerns, such polarization or AI replacing human labor. South Korea enacted the AI Basic Act last week to ensure the safe use and development of artificial intelligence, becoming the first country to do so. That is all from me today. Thank you for watching.